As you can see by my $1,000 VTuber model right here, I am a part of the community. I'm a member of the community, and as a result, I have to talk about the massive drama that is happening right now in the VTuber space surrounding the Offkai Expo. And it's basically just like the I don't even fucking know, the Coachella of VTubing, where just everyone goes there. That's where all the VTubers meet. It's just the biggest VTuber convention, I guess, in the world, or at least in the United States. I don't know what they're doing around the world, but at least in the United States, it's the biggest VTuber convention. And the entirety of this drama is just located around the fact that Offkai got a sponsor that a lot of people are not the most happy about. So the sponsor they got was Fansly. Now, as someone who gets a lot of VTubing stuff all over my Twitter page, a not insignificant amount of VTubers like have, I guess, adult content that they do. I'm not saying like it's the vast majority, the overwhelming majority, but there is like a substantial portion of VTubers that do like adult content. And so I wasn't surprised to see that Offkai got this type of sponsor, especially because like it's a convention, they need sponsors to run, and I wouldn't be surprised if Fansly was able to, give them a bunch of money for this. But this caused a lot of drama because it is an adult brand at a convention that it is possible for people under the age of 18 to attend. But I'll talk about that fact in a little bit. And the thing about this that kind of does make me like, going grrr with my torches and like pitchforks running at Offkai, getting mad about this. And logically speaking, I think there's two things that you could think about for this Fansly booth that would be at the convention, which would either be in the designated 18 plus area that a lot of conventions have, we have to legitimately show an ID to get into this area, and like if Fansly would be sponsoring it and had a booth, it maybe would be there, or it would be in the main floor where they wouldn't be allowed to show any 18 plus material, because that would be fucking insane to do it in the general attendance area. And logically speaking, it's obviously one of those two options. I'm pretty sure from what I've seen, it's going to be the latter option where there will be in the main floor, but maybe they also have a second booth in the 18 plus area. But once again, if they're going to be in the main area, it would make absolutely no sense for them to be allowed to show like any adult content to the general public, just because that'd be a ridiculous thing to do. A lot of people are mad, and a lot of people are like the usual suspects, the type of VTuber that I've talked about many a times in the past, where they occupy this area of just like being annoying and being mad at a lot of stuff. So this person just said, stop treating Yoshi's like content whores or literal ones. You blacklist Kirsch, which is like a piece of shit VTuber that I think I've talked about before, for making volunteers uncomfortable, sabotage face connect panels, and ban creators for wrong thing. But you're happily putting a Fansly 18 plus porn booth in the main hall of your family friendly con where minors walk around freely. The hypocrisy is pathetic. Pick a lane. Once again, I think logically speaking, they're not going to put the 18 plus booth directly in the middle of the panel or the convention floor, the main hall. That would make absolutely no sense. And once again, Kirsch is a piece of shit. It was just completely one of those like people are saying the West has fallen. We must make VTubing the most pure thing of all time, and we hate all gay people. It's that type of stuff. It's that type of content, and it's so like you can see why Kirsch would be banned from this type of area, because she just kind of makes legitimately everyone around her uncomfortable. I guess this person said that this is the end of VTubing. VTubing is 100% officially dead. This one's just saying that a lot of indie VTubers are prostitutes, and it's not an insignificant percentage. And so you would think that the way that these people are reacting to this Fansly sponsorship, that Offkai has taken legitimately no measures to prevent minors from seeing this adult content. They've kind of gone like, oh, the kids will learn soon enough what it looks like anyway, so we might as well expose them early. Hey, who really cares if a 14-year-old sees some porn? Like, what? But there are some things that Offkai has put in place, like who's allowed to attend. Like, they say there's a permission slip that you can have for a minor consent form that basically says a parent or legal guardian must fill out the form to, I guess, like, say that this child's allowed to attend. And also at the same time, you'd think that, like, if a kid was going to their parents, or like at least mention to their parents, like, hey, I'm gonna be leaving, I'm gonna go to an anime convention or like a VTuber convention, the parents can at least like look a little bit into what the kid is doing to, I honestly understand what is happening. And obviously you could say the kid's gonna lie, which, like, sure, but even then, once again, if the kid for some fucking unknown reason gets to the Offkai convention without any of their knowledge of their parents, I don't think Fansly is going to have a massive booth directly in the middle of the main hall or any in the main hall with like any sort of 18 plus content, because that would be just absolutely insane for them to do. And I do not think that's something that they like let happen as an expo. Now, obviously, a lot of people are also defending Offkai for having the sponsorship by just like pointing out the hypocrisy and like what people get mad about convention sponsorships about, especially when like people say, oh, there's minors who are allowed to attend. This person right here makes a point where Anime Expo, the large anime convention, had a huge banner / booth in the open presenting a hentai doujin site. You all have generally never been to other cons, and it shows. Just find anything to be mad at. These cons needed sponsors to continue operating. And then someone replied to what the thing was, and it's this thing right here, as you can see, just a massive hentai site directly in the middle of the convention, which I'd presume Fansly at the worst is going to look like this if it's in the main hall. And so very clearly other conventions where minors are allowed to attend have these type of sponsorships even in the main hall. And Anime Expo basically has the same like age requirements and age like process and consent processes as Offkai. So the fact that I didn't see a single person at all get mad at Anime Expo for having this, but yet Offkai having a fantasy sponsorship obviously is the biggest issue of all time. It really doesn't make any sense. But there's another wrinkle in the fact that people are getting mad at you Fansly being an 18 plus sponsor of Offkai, is that Offkai had like adult sponsorships in the past, and like they've had multiple year running sponsorships with the same companies. As this person points out, this fake outrage is so boring. Adult companies have always sponsored / attended Offkai. Jess has been attending now for 3 years and nobody's batted an eye. Y'all will jump on any kind of hate bandwagon these days, I swear. And I know what you're wondering. Well, what is Jazz? Well, first I need to prove that they actually are sponsoring this event. And if we go to the actual sponsorship site of Offkai, you can see right here, there they are. We got Jazz sponsoring Offkai. And what happens if you go directly to Jazz's website? What type of content do you see right here? We got Living on Borrowed Love. We got Cult of the Serpent, Cuck or Be Cucked, Opie Succubus Academy, Sucky and Busty, Demonic and Lusty, Goblinless, a county management game, which I'm assuming also, you know, as you can see, a lot of boobs over here. And even Jazz themselves have commented on this, saying suddenly sweating bullets over the fact that we've been sponsoring Offkai for years. So I don't know what the difference is between Fansly being there and Jazz being there. When they seem to promote the same exact content, it doesn't really make sense that people are getting mad. But once again, this is, I guess it's my fault for assuming that people who are mad at this are going to do their research and actually like try to have consistent anger at this. And I'd assume if they actually cared about the event, they would have known that Jazz was a sponsorship in the past. But they're just getting mad because Fansly's a bigger name, and a lot of people know actually what that is and not what Jazz is. And so because of that, they actually have like more clout, I guess a more clouded company to get mad at. So it just shows that people really aren't actually like properly mad at this, because they aren't consistent at getting mad at any other like convention for having adult sponsorships, when like you just showed that Anime Expo had a massive like hentai site directly in the middle of the main hall. And there's been an adult sponsorship of Offkai for multiple years running, and not a single peep has been heard about it. So it doesn't really make any sense. And another company that I've seen that is sponsoring Offkai, that it's a sponsor that I've seen like a lot of times and all over the place, is GamerSupps. Now, I'm not saying like GamerSupps is like the turbo porn company of all time, but like they do have the waifu cups, have massive like boobs on them, and like, you know, they're waifus, and obviously a lot of them are sold out, but you can see right here if we go through it, this is a sponsorship of Offkai, and like they kind of have these cups that, you know, some people would say are maybe not appropriate for young children, but not a single person has said anything about these at all in any way, because once again, it just doesn't really fit their anger that they're just all of a sudden randomly mad at Offkai for having this type of sponsorship. So I'd love to say I don't really understand why people are getting mad at this and why people are being so inconsistent in their anger, but once again, people make entire careers about getting mad about this type of stuff. And one more thing I want to talk about, it's kind of a small thing, but it kind of goes alongside of this, and it is the fact that a lot of people are using this like anger and this like Fansly existence at Offkai to like kind of push like this Puritan type of like view about what people are allowed to do online, like what people should do. And I just have an example of this. Someone just says, "Hey, other VTubers, please stop normalizing being a whore. No normal person wants to see your holes for less than the price of a cheeseburger. Thank you." And so like this is just one tweet, but I've seen a lot of them, and I just don't want to like fucking spam the shit out of my Firefox tab with a bunch of different puritanical idiots being annoying. Where like, I guess this is the kind of like where it comes from, where a lot of people are just like mad about anyone doing adult content in any way. You know, they're calling them like whores or sluts or just like terrible people for doing adult content. And it's especially when like a lot of these people are like, or these VTubers specifically, market themselves around an 18 plus audience. So it's not like they're like lying and alluring children to them when they are specifically trying to get adults to watch them so they can also, you know, sell their adult content, which there's legitimately no issue about this. And I think it's really funny that I'm going to like even talk about this guy at all in this video, and it's going to come out of left field, but it just reminds me, and it's like this viewpoint of like getting mad at VTubers for doing adult content anyway, it just reminds me of like the Northern Line rant that he went on about people just being weirdly puritanical. Like, especially when VTubing is like a younger space, you know, it's usually from like the Zoomer of like 18 to 25, 6, 7-ish area, where like obviously there's people who enjoy VTubing who are like 30 years old, 30 plus years old or whatever, where it's like, you're supposed to be young, you're supposed to have fun, you're supposed to be like, you know, loud and proud of your youth. Who gives a fuck if you're making money off of like a fancy OnlyFans? Like, bro, you look good as shit. If people are willing to pay money to see your good looking body. Like, who really cares? Why are you being such a Puritan about this? Just stop being annoying about this. It just like legitimately makes no sense. I guess once again, I was gonna say it makes no sense to me. It does make sense to me that these type of people are getting mad because once again, I was gonna say I was gonna make a terrible analogy here, but it's like a weird space of people in the VTubing space, or like these like weird right wing adjacent people who get mad and like want to push purity stuff onto VTubing when the large majority of VTubing's existence as a whole is like pure self-expression and like trying to show yourself how you want to be presented. And to get mad at people doing that in any way, even if it is like adult work, like you're just objectively not in the right spot here, unfortunately for you, I guess. Like I don't know what you're doing here. But that's all I really got for today. People are getting mad at Offkai for a reason that they should have gotten mad about many years before if they actually cared about this topic. But I guess Fansly's a big name, and so they wanted to make a big deal out of a big name. But that's really it. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.